Charles, I actually forgot to do something here. I wanted to turn around so that we could face Shitbird headquarters.
Before we get that far, I need some proof that you're actually not a hologram.
It's an inauthentic bot.
Okay, all right. So you say
I
you're
asked
here.
LeBron James.
All right,
he knows.
Okay, so you say you're here, and you say you're in front of the Twitter New York office. Are you here to refill the red wine vat?
Yeah, they have it on tap, I've heard. Well, let's go see if there's anything going on inside there, Charles.
We know there's.
I mean, it's Sunday, so they're probably not going to be too busy there.
Here's the head of strategy.
Right. But it's interesting, you know. Oh, there are people in there. I guess security is there all the time. I really like the change they've made to content moderation already, Charles. You know, used to be if you posted something on there, Twitter would have an automatic message that says like, oh, you know, the CDC says John Cullen is a crackpot, don't listen to him. Or, you know, COVID-19 is caused by this and that. Now...
Do you want to vector in on Twitter? Or?
Well, we can. But now what happens is when Hillary Clinton says that Paul Pelosi is attacked by a January 6th insurrectionist, the CEO of Twitter says, actually, it's possible that this might be something else.
I know.
That's pretty funny.
It is pretty funny. And I think, you know, hats off to the guy. I mean, here, people, you know, you run into, if you've ever met somebody who's worth, let's say, 100 million or let alone $1 billion, people worth 10 billion, $50 billion. They're not working typically late at night on the weekend on their fifth job. I mean, isn't the guy like the CEO? Busy. Tesla, the CEO, what else?
Boring Company.
Boring, Starlink.
SpaceX
rather. And now Twitter, and who knows what else, plus he's got 10 kids that we know of.
I know, that's unbelievable.
You know? So it is amusing, and you know, let's hope that this platform does now get to be used to a much higher percentage of its potential than it has been in the past. And so long as you and I have been working together, I've been on Twitter anyway, and I've been suppressed, I think, and we'll see whether the stuff that we do together gets the kind of problem, whether you get restored on Twitter.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see what does happen here. One of the things I'm thinking maybe I should do is start tweeting out some of the old shows and see if they get any traction.
Well, you know, to clarify what I was saying earlier, which of course was a joke, Elon Musk has already said that there have been no changes to content moderation yet.
Right.
And that nobody has been added back. A lot of people are like, oh, he put back Kanye West because he's his friend and they're both racist, anti-Semitic, Putin-loving, whatever. But he said, no, actually, Kanye West was not banned. He was just blocked for a week, and the week ran out and he's back on there. And then Kanye West continues.
He implodes.
I mean,
financially, yeah, spectacular.
Well, he also just made another set of statements where he's talking about how a doctor who determined that he was bipolar was of a certain religion. He's not going to say it. He's not allowed to say it. He was Jewish. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to cut you some slack, but you're not making it really easy.
Yeah. It's like, you know, well, I'm not saying that Kanye has a drinking problem, but if you run into one of these stubborn drunks, you know.
I think he doesn't drink.
Okay, well, you might have run into, as I'm sure I have, stubborn drunks. You see them the next morning at 10 o'clock, they're still drunk. And they want to go back over ground that got them punched in the face 5 times last night.
That's what he's doing,
and that's more or less where he is at this point. And again, on his behavior, we should talk about Paul Pelosi, what we know about him.
But staying on the content thing.
I will. The thing of Kanye and Paul and others, it says a lot about his risk profile. That he is willing to chase risk. And it's interesting. People
to invite it even.
And to embrace risk. You know, to see that leopard and punch the leopard in the face, even though they, I think I'll punch that leopard. Why not?
Get out of the car first.
Yeah, that's right. And you got any meat I could put around here? You know,
wrap it around my face.
Right, exactly. But I do think when we go back, I was saying to you on the phone, and I'll admit to our audience, that I entered Yale thinking I might major in American history, in part because Yale then had a great history department, and I took my first course on colonial American history and got a C in it. And I thought,
Ooh.
whoa, this is not going to work so well. So no history for me. No more history for me. And
Screw studying, drop the class.
oh no, switched major
Yeah,
to
even
economics
better.
and political science, where I got straight A's. But the point is that in my later, after I retired 20 years ago, actually, no littering. Oh, loitering, I know.
Electioneering.
So just let me, if I may finish the history thing. In my amateur studying of history, and in particular, there's a great book called, I think it's called Double Entry or something like that, about the history of accounting. It's quite interesting.
Right.
And
we've spoken about that book.
and it talks about how the Catholic Church suppressed revolutionary advances in learning in certain cases for several hundred years at a time.
Yeah.
Basically destroying the ability of 6 generations, 7, 8 generations to profit from these advances that the scholars had come up with because the church didn't like it.
This is just here polluting the street so we can have green energy for the school.
Yeah, right. So one of the lessons, a simplistic lesson to when you look at the long sweep of history and you look at revolutions where firebrands have come along and thrown off the yoke of dictators, it's the controversial thinking that needs to be embraced at the time that it comes forward, because more often than not, it's the controversial thinking that leads to gigantic advances,
breakthroughs,
in various ways of thinking about enjoying or not suffering in life. And I hope Twitter becomes a platform where these, maybe what we can do, what he comes up with is some rating, or they come up with some rating system.
Well, he said there's going to be a council. I'm a little concerned about that because
the councils suck.
Well, and also that came after he wrote some letter to the advertisers, so it feels a bit dangerously close to kowtowing to advertisers who are going to pack that thing up, with most of the type of people who were moderating content before, and then now it becomes. I mean, look, what he said, he owes us nothing. The guy bought it. He could put it out of business and do whatever he wants with it. But what he said was, as long as you don't do anything illegal, that you can have free speech within the context of the law. To me, that means anything that is not tortious or illegal.
Right, but I mean, I think he's thinking through a slightly more complicated set of issues which involve, we're just in one country, an important country, but there are at least 200 other countries, and many of them have very different approaches to speech, and how do you deal with speech originating in Saudi Arabia versus speech.
Look at this person making a right on red.
Massachusetts, what do you expect? He's a masshole.
Well, but the thing is, it's a computer, so you can just say, all right, any network traffic going to this country, block it this way. Anything in the United States goes this way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But, and I think, though, that it is a good thing that the guy decided to perfect his premium bid, shall we say, in which whoever put the money up overpaid. And let's see if the content, I mean, the one big step forward, I would argue, that needs to happen on Twitter and indeed on Facebook and some of these other platforms is you've got to use the public the public has to have an ability to understand who is speaking. You can't have the ability for Jason Goodman or Charles Ortell to have 1,000
fake people attacking us.
Yeah. No. Well, no. We created an army of 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 fake names, and I say something, and my army of 100,000 says, "Of course, that's correct."
Well, that's exactly what is being done right now, and I allege it's being done by things like Bot Sentinel. So here's a good example of social engineering, and actually, even without changing any content moderation policies or anything, Elon Musk has already changed Twitter, and his response to Hillary Clinton this morning
priceless.
Well, it shows us that because she's trying to socially engineer the public by saying that this David DePappy or whatever the hell his name is a January 6th loving MAGA Trump insurrectionist, when in fact he's a pretty well-known LGBTQ San Francisco lefty BLM nudist nut.
Right.
Who, what Elon, and so the funny thing is, Elon Musk points out to Hillary Clinton that gay bars in San Francisco close at 2 a.m. and this altercation took place at 2:30 a.m. there's a slight possibility there might be more to the story. And then I saw, I forget what the outlet was, but
Santa
saying,
Monica, something or other, yeah.
but
Newspaper.
but they were saying that Elon Musk is spreading a lurid conspiracy theory.
Oh, and Hillary isn't?
And Hillary isn't, right. So like she's saying this guy is an insurrectionist, and you know, Paul Pelosi is speaking in tongues to 911. He knew the guy's name. How is it an intruder? It's obviously somebody he knows.
Well, if we take a gigantic step backwards, we don't yet know even 60% of the truth on what was happening, but certainly, you know, if an 82-year-old man is at home without his wife, in his underwear,
Awake at 2 a.m.?
and yeah, period. Yeah,
Not
Joe,
urinating?
Yeah, exactly. Not barfing all over himself, not having ice cream with Joe Biden and a bevy of, you know, brownies. It's a little bit suspicious that he'd be inside his own home with another man
In the underwear.
who may also have been in underwear with one or two hammers and zip ties and whatever. None of that is you know, even if there's an innocent explanation for all this.
What is it?
Yeah, it's not going to be one which leads to anything other but a very expensive continuation of the marriage with a different prenup agreement, right? I mean, it's preposterous.
It is. Oh, should we go up to the...
We can if you want, but I
No,
want to go.
let's stay around here. Yeah, we'll do that another time.
We'll
But well, just so people know what we're talking about, we're right here at one of the entrances for the High Line. This thing has been under construction forever. I just don't believe a single thing about that Paul Pelosi story. And
Right.
I think it's amazing how Joe Biden and Hillary and all of them started to spin it. Elon Musk is already fighting the social engineering on Twitter.
And if you remember, I don't know, you probably weren't focused on this, but when the Oklahoma City explosion occurred,
Yeah.
fairly immediately, Bill Clinton, who was then the president, blamed it on Rush Limbaugh. Said
I'm surprised not Russia.
No, Rush Limbaugh. And then he moved and he said, Russia, that sounds like Russia. Okay, Russia Limbaugh. But anyway, and of course it wasn't Rush Limbaugh or right-wing extremists who were responsible for that. And they had, did you see the Gateway Pundit story that they had a number of websites purportedly linking this guy to right-wing stuff, and these websites have since been apparently been deleted and
The ones linking him to right
to the
wing.
right wing. Yeah, I mean this guy he's just a nutcase.
I don't think so. I think there's more than just a nutcase, because just being a nutcase doesn't explain how all these people get on the story so quickly and with the same, you know. I mean, let's for a moment, let's take a step back. Let's take this thing on face value. Forget about whatever I'm saying and whatever we know about the 911 call. And on face value, this is a home invasion. And so before we know anything,
He was a welcome visitor.
Paul Pelosi, well, it's told to us that it's a home invasion. The police respond. First of all, they said there's a wellness check. Isn't that the type of thing that happens when nobody's heard from him for 3 days and you call the cops and say, we're not sure what's going on?
At
Can
2
you go
o'clock
check?
in the morning, isn't
It's
it more
weird.
likely that he'd be asleep?
That's weird.
Yeah.
And so if it's a home invasion, how does Joe Biden get to, oh, this is what you get when you have January 6th, rather than, you know what, we finally need to admit that
All right, well-
defunding the police for 2 years and putting everybody in danger.
Well, take a step back. On what night did this occur?
I don't remember.
Was it-
Saturday?
I don't think so.
Friday?
Well, we have to go back into the facts, but Biden and others were making comments about what happened, I believe, on Friday afternoon, Friday evening, New York time.
Okay, so Thursday.
Well, whenever it occurred, we need to go back over the timeline, but the fact is that the Democrats definitely were trying to pin, let's just wait here so we're not next to
Yeah, the people on bicycles and everything.
were immediately trying to say it was a right-wing thing and the guy's a right-wing
Right.
kook, when of course he's who knows what he really is. But before we go, there's more to the story. I mean, it's not like this guy Paul Pelosi has no other problems. I mean,
Right,
he's got at
questionable.
least a yellow card, right, going here, if not a red card from the Porsche, auditioning for Sideways 2 out there near whatever
Yeah,
it
I
is.
mean, I
And-
wonder if he's even gotten it back from the body shop yet.
Exactly, and But then you look at this from sort of outer space, and you say, all right, may I use the phrase outer space advisedly? We have Joe Biden, reminding us that to combat inflation, because the reduced inflation now program is not working yet. What you do, the key to it is to buy off-price brand.
Oh yeah,
cereal. Instead of Kellogg's Raisin Bran, you should buy, and that's the way you can whip inflation out. You want to go over there?
You know what? That is an incredibly stupid statement that just shows that Joe Biden is an undiscerning idiot. I don't want off-brand Raisin Bran. I buy brands that I like, and I just don't want. Did I tell you that coconut juice went up to $5.79?
I don't doubt it. I mean,
that's crazy.
Yeah, Progresso soup and Mercedes is $5.39 a can.
But you shouldn't eat canned stuff. They got PCBs in the can.
Depends if you're a shareholder of General Mills, which I might be. But anyway, I think I like Progresso soup actually.
But the can has PCBs in it.
But
that's the thing. Joe Biden, he's like, yeah, save money, eat processed food.
Right. So on the one hand, he's saying, I've got 2 mansions. I can't explain how I paid for them, but you should eat off-price, Raisin Bran cereal, right, to economize. While I fly around and burn all kinds of fossil fuels.
Here's the perfect vehicle, the Hemi SUV. I don't know if you saw this. Joe Biden was in a garage, and
he should be working in a garage.
Well, so here's the thing. I was looking up some of the stats on Joe Biden's Corvette because that was the focus of the Jay Leno's garage. He has this 1967 Corvette, which, if you have the 427 big block of that and it's all original and everything, I do believe one of those sold for over $1 million.
Right.
But typical punk that he is, all talk, no action. Joe Biden has the 327 entry-level motor, not that impressive. But anyway, so he had it totally restored. They made a point of saying that his sons had it rebuilt for him. Where did that come from? But he's built it a while ago. But maybe you're right, they've been in Ukraine a long time.
Right.
Maybe they did get it there. But the point of it was he was racing a C6 or a C7 with this old Corvette. And so here he is telling you, don't buy a gas car, don't charge your electric car. Meanwhile, I'm going to drop the clutch and burn up the tires and get like 8 miles per gallon in this 1967 V8 here.
Well, I don't go to the border.
What's his message?
Yeah. Well, he's a moron. He's a complete moron. And this whole thing about, we went to all 54 states.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, you're sitting, but just taking a gigantic step back, you're sitting there, and you're Vladimir Putin, you're in menace for a lot of millions of people in the developing world now.
Yeah.
As we go into winter.
Well, it also doesn't help the diplomatic situation over there, because if Russia's being reasonable enough to say, okay, we'll engage in diplomacy, open the port to allow this stuff to leave, and then you start attacking them when they do that,
right.
Is that going to motivate them to engage in further diplomacy, or they just say, we've had it with you idiots, and now we're going to kill you all?
But you're sitting there as Putin, you say, all right, are we worried that Joe Biden is going to, the Joint Chiefs are going to come to him with some suggestions, and Joe is going to sit there and say, you know what, F that, why this? I've got a better idea.
Plan,
I've got a better idea. We're not worried about that. Are we worried about the wheels on the diesel bus go round and round Kamala Harris?
Yeah,
is she gonna have
God.
Is she going to
Who doesn't like a yellow school bus, Charles?
And the fumes. The fumes are responsible for poor test results for many people of color. How you get to that?
Do they had no seatbelts on my school bus?
They still have no seatbelts.
You could go flying out the window at any moment.
So you have you don't have to worry about her bringing anything to the table. And then is Nancy Pelosi third in line? Is she going to be focused on anything to do with Russia? No, she's going to be. She should be worried very much about her husband.
She's dumb as a bag of hammer attacks.
Who's number 4 in line?
Who is?
I don't know.
Kiefer Sutherland, I think. No.
I don't know, the guy, that bum in Washington Square Park.
Wasn't there a movie about that, like The Last Man Standing or something?
Something like that. There's a television show called Last Man Standing.
That's what I mean. There's some show about the guy who's who is a nobody, he's like the Secretary of Agriculture, and he becomes, oh my God, this is how they're going to get Pete Buttigieg in there.
Oh, Secretary of Stupid?
Like everybody will die, and the only person left on Earth will be Pete Buttigieg, and he'll be like, now I'm president.
Let's just stay on kind of the level.
This is evolving, this little area. Here, we have a food thing or something there.
Yeah.
little
I'm
island.
sure the prices are fair.
We had a piano. I can't remember if it was here. Something's happening here. Okay, it stopped.
I think the piano's over here. And so, we've got, the world is imploding, the economy's in deep trouble, and here we have a team of buffoons in charge of the United States economy. We have Janet, I don't want to go up.
No problem.
Yeah, Janet Yellen saying that she still sees no signs of a recession.
What?
I don't know. I mean,
of course, she's got her
honestly,
eyes closed.
Honestly, this is the type of person you want to say, Janet, please, would you please just not say anything? I mean, the most important speech you can give is over here. Why am I on a spaceship going out to see Mars? Because it'll take at least 2 weeks for you to get there and come back, and then the election will be over. It's just, so here we little island, as you say, but look at this scene. Here we are on,
Looks like buttocks.
Well, but here's the Hudson River, and look at this cat, whatever that thing is, a steel, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's not like anybody invested a lot of money in this. You would think there'd be restaurants or shops or something along the river here.
This was really just to get a tax deduction for Barry Diller, wasn't it?
I guess, but I'm no city planner, but I know in other places, I know, for example, Rio de Janeiro, along the ocean there, and Ipanema Beach and Copacabana, it's just restaurant after restaurant after restaurant.
Yeah.
And, you would think
Le Croisette in Cannes.
I've never been to Cannes.
Oh, it's great.
But you would think that you could do something like that here,
Yeah.
but no, all these idiots can do is this.
Well, you know what? I agree with you, but at the same time, I think this is a nice addition to this area over here.